Once again, it is Star Radio UK. It is your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, and this is how we do it every Wednesday evening. The question we're asking tonight is what next after the 5 million petition that is already have been achieved by the Yoruba people? What next? All these I'll be discussing on Star Radio UK this evening. I say good evening and welcome if you're just joining us. Bear with us for those of you that are watching us on Star Radio UK. There's a bit of a technical from the network, but we hope we should be, stabilizing as we go into the program. Bear with us once again. It is Star Radio UK. Once again, it is Star Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Like I said, we are just settling into the program, and in the next few minutes, we'll be discussing everything that needs to be discussed tonight, where everybody is asking the question, what next after the 5 million petition? So it is coming up to exactly 17 minutes past this evening, and then what are we going to be looking at? For those of you that have joined us on Star Radio UK and those of you that are watching us from almost every platform as well, I welcome you into the program, and quite a lot of people are asking questions upon questions that need answers. And tonight on Star Radio UK, Niger Voices, I'll be giving as much of opportunity as well during the program for those of you that might want to call in. But let us go into it first before we start taking those calls. The question that has been in the minds of those that have been following us on this platform on Niger Voices on Star Radio UK, I would like to say good evening to Shamsuddin Oladipupo that have joined us. I say good evening to you, Mrs. Oluremi or Gabi Kilanko that have joined us as well, and all the friends and family of Star Radio UK. My name is Olami Koiki, and today is the 4th of June 2022. I would like to say good evening back to you, Archie. Good evening to Frank. Good evening to all the presenter of Star Radio UK and the friends and family of Star Radio UK as well. One thing we've got to remember is election is coming up in Nigeria, but we also have those that are saying that we would rather not have election. We would rather want to have a situation where those that do not believe in Nigeria anymore can also have the opportunity to decide whether there should be an election or not. These are all the questions that so many people are asking. But my concern is, what about the international community? What are the international community saying regarding the current situation that Nigeria is at the moment? Nigeria is going through what we can call a situation that might lead to anarchy, a situation that might lead to unrest. We've heard and seen that most of those social cultural groups, the Onaise, and the rest have been talking that the current situation that Nigerians are facing might lead to where things might become unstable. And our job on Star Radio UK is to bring all this information ahead of time before we get to that situation. So there's going to be a situation room, and that situation room is here on Niger Voices. So I'm going to be giving you everything that you need to know that you probably is not aware of. But again, before we go into that, enjoy this track as we're getting ready for this evening program where everything will be analyzed here on Niger Voices. My name is Olabi Koike, and I'm going to be your host tonight. And I would like to welcome those of you that are watching us from Kenya, from Uganda, from almost every part of the continent. But tonight, it's all about the conversation as usual. What is the conversation? It's just a normal conversation about Nigeria. A lot of people know Nigeria as a country, but they do not know Nigeria that it's got a lot of indigenous people inside it. So what I mean by that is we know a country known as Nigeria, but we do not know that Nigeria itself has multiple different ethnic groups, whether they're the Yorubas, the Ishekiri, the Hausa, and also the Biafra, and so many of such. But in 1914, there was an amalgamation, and that amalgamation has been what has led to the name Nigeria that was then given to Nigerians, and then a question has now been raised by millions of Nigerians, and that is the 5 million people that have signed a petition. They are now asking the real identity and the real true who they are, rather than being known as Nigerians. So once again, it is Starr Radio UK, and like I said, I welcome those of you that have joined us at exactly 21 minutes past 6 p.m. local time here in London. So the reason why 5 million is the conversation tonight is the Yorubas that have been part of Nigeria for the last 61 years of the independence of Nigeria and the last 108 years of being part of Nigeria. They are now asking the real question: who are we? Are we Nigerians or are we Yorubas? If you have not watched a movie, which I'm going to be telling us tonight, I will advise you to do so. We might play the soundtrack of a 3 minutes of that, and that is Bigger Than Africa. Bigger Than Africa is a documentary that has been released on Netflix, and for those of you that have not watched it, we would advise you to do so that you can have the background of we, the Yorubas, rather than being known as Nigerians. This is Starr Radio UK, Niger Voices, every Wednesday, and this program has been going on for the last almost 4.5 years. We've had a lot of guests, we had a lot of people, but tonight we are reviewing what next after the 5 million petition. I'm going to be giving us some of the conversation that came out from that presentation of the 5 million that came out when the declaration was announced by Mrs. Abiola Onitiri, and likewise Professor Banji Akintoye, and also our father Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho, and the rest of the team that has been working tirelessly to achieve the 5 million. Also, a lot of people have been asking whether there should be a referendum to opt out of Nigeria. And the question on the table is, do we really need a referendum before we can opt out of Nigeria? A Yoruba nation is unstoppable. It has been said by the prophetic people. It has been said by 5 million indigenous people that do not want to be part of Nigeria no more, but doesn't want a crisis. And the question is United Nations have no other option than to now accept the Yoruba people that are demanding the opt-out of Nigeria as a nation of their own, rather than the Nigeria that they've been together for the last 108 years. It was not the wish of the Yoruba people. It was the wish of the United Kingdom, Great Britain, that decided by their colonial master that was being the governor administrator during those era. I remember looking at the picture of the Queen. May God bless the Queen, and the Queen as she becomes the Golden Jubilee that is coming up. Starr Radio UK will be giving you all those information when the right time comes, and I think we might be broadcasting from outside tomorrow, and I'll be telling you a little bit more about that. Let's take a little bit of water. So tonight, we're going to be reviewing everything you need to know. What next after the 5 million petition? As the election is getting closer, are you concerned? What are your concerns? You would also have the opportunity to call in during the program tonight as well. Baba Akintoye, the leader of the Yoruba self-determination movement, have also said that we will not need a referendum before the Yoruba will leave Nigeria. I'm going to be reading all your comments. I say good evening to you, Eyeton Tosin, that is watching us from Yoruba land. Good evening to you, Prince Oniyade, that is watching us. And he says, and I quote on the comment, we are Yoruba before Nigeria come to an existence, and for now, we need a Yoruba country. Good evening to you, Oluwatoyin Yaya. Good evening to you, Damilola. Good evening to you, Adewale Adeshope. Lawal, good evening to you. Adekunle, good evening to you. And also Martinez Jr., good evening to you. Mrs. Kemi Bello, good evening to you. And good evening to you, Mrs. Joyce Bodori. Good evening to you, Frank Dudu. Good evening to you, Prince Abimbola. And I'm going to be reading all your comments. Let me ask the question. What next is my own conversation, but who are we as Yoruba people? Are we Nigerians, or are we those that have been merged as the indigenous people into a different country that we are now asking the question, do we really want to be part of Nigeria? And if we don't want to be part of Nigeria, do we have any reasons or option to leave Nigeria without a referendum? Let us first listen to the great man himself, Professor Banji Akintoye, the Alano of Yoruba land, that told us that we would not need to go for a referendum before we opt out of Nigeria. I know some of those other individuals and groups of people are saying that we need a referendum. And I'm asking the question to them is, why must we need a referendum? Because when Nigeria was merged together, nobody was given the opportunity to be told or asked whether they want to be part of Nigeria. So for those that are saying that we need a referendum, I'm sure some of you know their names, you know this organization. I'm asking them tonight, were we given that opportunity to decide who we are before that election or the amalgamation that has now led to the question that millions of Yoruba people are asking tonight is, are we Nigerians or are we Yorubas? Like I said tonight, if you have not had the opportunity to watch Bigger Than Africa, I would advise you to do so at exactly 1827, where you will find out everything you need to know when it comes to we, the Yoruba people. So if you are those that are still asking whether Peter Obi, Atiku says he wants to unite Nigeria, but the Yoruba people are saying to Atiku that we don't want you to unite us, we would rather want you to unite those in the northern part of Nigeria rather than uniting Nigeria, because Nigeria as it is right now is going through what we can call a turbulent state. Good evening to you, Mrs. Grace Junior. Good evening to you, Damilola. Good evening to you, Ogunyemi. Good evening to you, Akonji Odewumi, a very, very powerful footballer that you're going to be seeing a lot of them by the time the Yoruba nation becomes the full country that so many people are asking for. Once again, my name is Olawumi Koiki, and I welcome those of you that have joined us. I'm going to first play the audio clip of the leader of the Yoruba movement, Professor Banji Akintoye, giving us the reason why we do not need to go through what we can call what, how do I want to put that? Some people are saying that we need a referendum. But Professor Banji Akintoye have told the Yoruba people that we do not need a referendum because a referendum at this stage is not what we need. So let's hear what he has to say before we start going into all those conversations. You will have opportunity to call in, but please do not call yet until when the time comes. Let's listen to Professor Banji Akintoye. I'm gonna do the translation for the benefit of those that are watching us in Uganda, from Cameroon, from Ghana, that are not Yoruba spoken, but this is being spoken in the language, a beautiful language, a language that should be part of the other languages in the world, like the German language, the French language, the English language. It is known as the Yoruba language. Let us listen to Professor Banji Akintoye.
I agree the federal government should referendum for àwọn tó wá àti jáde kúrò Nàìjíríà. Yorùbá máa ń pera wa lọ́lọ́gbọ́n o. Ṣé ó ṣòro láti rí wípé kíní kan náà gbé pamọ́ sẹ́yìn ẹ̀ ni? Kíní kan náà gbé pamọ́ sẹ́yìn ẹ̀. Nǹkan tí wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe simple. The court will decide whether the federal government lọ ṣe referendum fún àwọn Yorùbá, ká lọ ṣe referendum fún àwọn Ìgbò, kankan. Federal government àwa pé INEC, the most corrupt electoral system in the history of the world.
Okay, I want you to take note of that. I want you to take note of that. Let me quickly explain what he has said there for the benefit of our listeners. He's actually giving us the background and the reason why the Yoruba people do not need any country like Nigeria that is one of the most fraudulent countries that have what we call the INEC. INEC is the electoral that leads and gives when it comes to election in Nigeria. And ever since they've been having election since 1999, INEC, as is known, is one of the most fraudulent, one of the most corrupt system that has been doing what we can call the fake election since 1998. And the full meaning of INEC, for the benefit of those that are listening to us, is the Independent National Electoral Commission. There's nothing of independent with INEC as we know today. I was in Nigeria with Starr Radio UK during the last election, and we saw all the corrupt malpractice that took place during that election. It is the Independent National Electoral Commission, was established. It's meant to be independent, but as we speak today, INEC has continued not to follow the due process, as we know, because the APC should have had their convention as at a week ago, but because INEC is literally, a kind of an independent that is not independent, has now decided that there will change the date for the APC, and the question is that the same INEC as you, the Yorubas, or those that are asking for referendum to come and do a referendum on behalf of the Yoruba people? It's just a question I'm asking tonight. So let's go back and listen more to Professor Banji Akintoye.
Referendum.
Okay, what he's actually saying there is, if you think that if you go and vote during the during the referendum, and you expect INEC to give you the final result as whatever the outcome, even if the outcome favors the Yoruba people or it doesn't favor the Yoruba people, INEC, which is the Independent National Electoral Commission, will never give you a full result. We've seen how INEC has manipulated, how INEC has changed the independent that is meant to be to something else. Once again, this is Starr Radio UK, and this is your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's finish listening to Professor Banji Akintoye.
So I will win, none yet. That is it. On our story of our Kifno Yimbanye. We are going to get ourselves into that kind of trap. Our will need it. A referendum. There are other ways, but people can separate themselves from a country. We have studied it very carefully and we have chosen one, and that one is the result that we want. Praise the Lord. We have collected 5 million.
Okay, I want you to listen to that. We have collected 5 million. What does that 5 million mean? 5 million Yoruba people have spoken, and those 5 million have said that we do not want to be part of Nigeria anymore, and that means there will be a declaration at the appropriate time. Let's listen more to Professor Banji Akintoye.
Signatures to a petition which says that we are leaving Nigeria. And
well, according to African Confidential, says Independent National Electoral Corruption. I totally agree with that.
Only our federal government so 32 million. We were fine. When we pay at our 5 million, I want you 10% of our population, our total Yoruba population. Yes. It doesn't matter. Once I quit 200. 200. Last time, why am I get a back in ya? Because a banning country, I 2 hours. Can you did my 2 hours? My plan.
Well, that is Professor Banji Akintoye. He is the leader of the Euro movement that is currently ongoing. At 18:35, I continue to welcome those of you that have joined us. Like I said, I would open the phone line, but not yet. Let's look at some other area as well. I'm going to be giving us some of the headline that we have, from coming from Nigeria. Quite a lot of different headline. Breaking APC government meeting deadlock as search for a consensus candidate. PDP primary, why I supported Atiku instead of Malaki, Dino Malaye. Allow Tinubu and others compete. APC National Working Committee members write Buhari. Atiku's aide react to Muslim group insist on Yoruba presidency. Vote aspirant with no baggage. Lawan write APC delegate. Show us the video of a destroyed Okadas when government sees 500 motorcycles, 1,000 return. Chairman, Lekki Phase 1. The ex-chief judgment emerged Afghan presidential candidate and also presidency search for strong consensus candidate. Buhari direct APC government. Again, I'm going to be looking at some of what is trending on Twitter this evening on Niger Voices on Starr Radio UK. If you have just joined us, I would like to welcome each and every single one of you. I say good evening and welcome. Once again, I'd like to appreciate my producers that are working tirelessly behind the scene. You might not be able to see them, but they do work very hard to make sure that we can bring the broadcast live to those of you that are watching us from different parts of the globe. My name again is Olayomi Koiki as we continue to look at everything regarding the upcoming election that is about to not happen in Nigeria. As we do know, today is the 4th of June. Happy birthday to everyone celebrating their birthday. And once again, I'd like to use this opportunity to say thank you very much to everyone that sent their wishes, their birthday greetings, the music, almost everything that was sent to me yesterday. I would like to say thank you so much. This evening, we are still reviewing what next after the 5 million petition. Again, some of the headline. Have you read it? How Fulani kidnappers told us after buying enough weapons, they will bomb the Igbo land, take over Nigeria. This is coming from the Methodist prelate. Uche recount his ordeal. Are you concerned? Who remember what that late Dr. Malafia Obadia told us before he was killed? I'm going to remind us that as we're about to bring that audio clip back to the conversation table. The late Dr. Malafia said a lot. But these primates that was kidnapped and released was not released for nothing more than to go back and tell Nigerians what is about to be unleashed on them. But we were told what was coming. We were briefed by the also the the former Commodore Olakunle Olawumi during an interview with Channels Television. He told us, and I quote, that the Nigerian Defense Academy could not have been invaded without somebody inside knowing a lot. Are you concerned as Nigerians or are you not? 72 hours ago, there was a bomb blast in Kaba, in Yoruba land, and a lot of the Yorubas are still thinking that there will be a solution to the current problems of Nigeria. Let us hear what the late Malafia Obadia told us.
Some revelations, because some of us also have our own intelligence networks.
Okay.
I've met with some of the bandits. We have met with some of their high commanders. One or two who have repented. They have sat down with us, not once, not twice. They told us that one of the northern governors is the commander of Boko Haram in Nigeria. Boko Haram and the bandits are one and the same thing. They have a sophisticated network.
Okay, I want you to take note of that word. Boko Haram and bandits are one. So when the government of the federal government of Nigeria tells you that there's a bandit, just automatically know they are talking about the same terrorists that the Western world is advising their citizens, according to the FCO here in the United Kingdom, an American government, and the Canadian and the French advising their citizens not to travel to some part of Nigeria because it's no longer a go area. The late Dr. Malafia Obadia told us that they have a sophisticated weapon. He also mentioned that during the lockdown, they were moving their plane, moving their weapons. Remember that we were talking, we were shouting on Niger Voices and all the other platforms that there is danger with the lockdown, because during the lockdown, they were bringing in the jihadis, they were bringing in the terrorists. We appreciate that the Lagos State governor is now banning the Okada. We expect every governor in Yoruba land to simultaneously now declare a total ban of Okada in Yoruba land to save lives before it is too late. Again, we from the Starr Radio UK Niger Voices is advising every governor in the Yoruba land to ban every Okada at least for the next 2 months, because the intelligence report that we are getting is there is danger ahead, especially in Lagos. Those of you at home, you must now become extremely careful and vigilant. When you see it, say it so that it can be sorted. Do not overlook anything anymore, because the danger that we've been talking about is getting closer, especially that millions of the Yorubas are now saying that we do not want to be part of Nigeria, but Lagos State governor says some local government, you will not be able to ride your Okada, but it seems hell is about to be let loose. Let's go back and listen to the late Dr. Malafia Obadia during this interview he gave before he died.
Lockdown, their planes were moving up and down as though there was no lockdown. Moving ammunitions, moving logistics, moving money, and distributing them in different parts of the country. They're already in the south, in the rainforests of the south. They're everywhere. They told us that when they finish these rural killings...
Okay, remember, take note of some of what the late Dr. Malafia is telling us and is explaining. When they finish the rural killings, what is going to happen? Let's listen to him.
They will move to phase 2.
Okay, they are going to move to phase 2. Where is the phase 2? I'm not talking about phase 2 in Adedijadele. I'm not talking about the phase 2 in some of your estate. A phase 2 that is about to unleash havoc, just as the late Oba Ifon was killed by the same terrorists has now occupied every part of Yoruba land.
The phase 2 is they will go into the urban city.
So where are the urban city? The Lekki, the Banana Island, the Surulere, all the Ibro area in Oyo State in Ibadan, all the Ibro area in Ogun State, all the Ibro area in Kogi, in Kebbi, in almost every Yoruba land, including almost every other part of the country.
Going from house to house.
They will be going from house to house. Remember in Kaduna some few months ago, people were kidnapped in a bomb attack on the train. Not just kidnapped, as we speak today, from the March 28th, those that have been kidnapped have not been rescued by the same government that is now talking about election. Even the pastor Enoch Adeboye says he's not sure whether there will be 2023. Let's listen more to the late Dr. Malafia. If you have just joined us, you're watching the Starr Radio UK. Follow us on Starr Radio UK, all the platform. Remember to subscribe on Starr Radio UK. And the best way to listen to us as well is to make sure that you download the app. You can follow us on www.starradiouk.com, where you will find out the blogs, the entertainment, the podcast, the gallery, the business news, the sport news, the news. And every Monday to Friday, you will also join me on 11 o'clock when I give all the update from Nigeria. But every Wednesday at exactly 6 p.m. to 8:30, because my producer said, I'm going to give you extra half an hour because we are now at a heated time, whether there's going to be election, no election, what next? After the 5 million is the conversation tonight on Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, at exactly 15 minutes to 7 p.m.
Killing prominent people. I can tell you This is the game plan.
So this is the game plan. They're going to be killing prominent people. I'm going to pause it there, and I want us to go back to this headline that is now being a conversation. The problem with Nigerian is when people get kidnapped and they get released and they're giving us their recount of what has happened, you would expect the security, you will expect the DSS, you'll expect the Navy, you'll expect every one of them to go into the bushes to go after these terrorists. But they're not going after that because the whole country and the whole military architect is now compromised. Let's listen to what I'm about to read out. The prelate of the Methodist Church Nigeria, His Eminence Samuel Uche, has revealed that the Fulani terrorists who kidnapped him and others tortured him such that he nearly lost his sight after eating his right eye on a tree. The cleric who narrated his near-death experience in the hands of the kidnapper says there were 8 in numbers. Every single one of them are Fulanis, with one who claimed to have been born even in Abia State. So when we say that we have Fulani that are living with us, some of you do not even understand what that means. They live with you because remember that there was a pastor that was kidnapped in Ogun State, and he said that during his kidnap ordeal, one of the Fulani changed his outfit, went back into the town to buy medication and return back into the forest. So literally, as we speak right now, every one of you in Nigeria is living in danger, and we must continue to advise you to be vigilant. And the question again is, what is the job and the role of the chief security officer of the state? That means the governor, Jide Sanwo-Olu, governor, Dapo Abiodun, governor, Governor Seyi Makinde, Governor Oyetola, Governor Yaya Bello, Governor Abdul Fattah, Governor Fayemi, and Governor Akeredolu. What is your responsibility in the Yoruba land and those in the southeast? All the governors, what is your responsibility? Already we know that the North do not have any governor because every single one of them are Fulanis, and their agenda is to make sure that they continue to make sure that Nigeria belongs to them. Let's continue reading what this cleric faced during his ordeal with the terrorist. Even one of the Fulani claimed he was born in Abia State. So how many Fulanis have been born in almost every part of Yoruba land and every part of the other country? According to Sahara Reporter, had reported that the prelate, his chaplain, Reverend Abidemi Shitu, and Bishop of Owerri, Reverend Dennis Mark, were all abducted on Sunday along Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway. When we tell you that there's danger in Nigeria, so many people do not understand the consequence of what is about to be unleashed. But let me finish what the late Dr. Malafia said, that when they finish the rural cleaning, what is going to happen? Once again, if you've just joined us, you are watching Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. My name is Olayomi Koiki, and the time is just 18:49. What are we expecting? The late Malafia told us. Let's listen to him more.
By 2022, we want to start a civil war in Nigeria.
By 2022, this year, they want to start a civil war in Nigeria. Are you prepared for a civil war, or what do we do? So now that the Yorubas are now saying that we don't want to be in a country where there is no security to go after the terrorists, there is no security to protect life, there's no security to protect you and me. We would rather want to have our own country. And as you all know, my own opinion and view as a Yoruba man, I believe that we should have our own independent country. Not literally the view of Starr Radio UK, but as a Yoruba man that appreciate my culture, my language, as a Yoruba man that understand that we are all in danger should we not go out of Nigeria. It has never been a movement that has been a dangerous one. We have done everything according to the international standard. In 2019, the Yoruba movement was registered under the UNPO. What do you understand by UNPO? The UNPO is the Unrepresented People Organization, and the Yoruba people were also registered under the UNPO. Once again, a very good morning and welcome to Starr Radio UK. Let us understand that Nigeria is going through a very turbulent stage at the moment. And we must do everything to shout to the international community that we do not want war in Nigeria. We must continue to tell the international community that we do not want war, and they must do the needful before things become ungovernable for so many Yorubas, the Biafrans, the Middle Belt, and the Hausas, and the other ethnic groups in Nigeria. We are telling the United Nations to do the needful because 5 million signatories have now been signed, and that is more than enough for them to bring us onto the round table and decide how Nigeria moves forward. Should that not happen and the hell get loose, there will be human lives lost. There will be humanity in crisis, just as we've seen in most part of Nigeria today, where IDP camps have become where people are living, giving birth, because they can no longer go back to their community because the terrorists have beheaded, have killed, have kidnapped, just as they've done with those priests along Enugu in the southeast of Nigeria. A lot of people might say it will never happen in our lifetime that they will invade Nigeria. But there is a lot of evidence to that based on what has been revealed in the last 5 years. The American government have told us that ISIS is now currently fully established in Nigeria. All the atrocity that is committed in Nigeria today, especially in the southeast, has been the Nigerian government using the machinery to create the havoc and then try to label it with the IPOC. The leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, was almost killed in 2017. 27 innocent Biafrans lost their lives. And today, they are still being marginalized. They are still being killed. The federal government of Nigeria today knows those behind the unknown gunmen, but they refuse to be brought into every part of Nigeria today. The Northeast is ungovernable. The Northwest is ungovernable. The North-South is ungovernable. The South-South is ungovernable. The governor Autumn of Benue says in the state, rather, that they must now defend themselves. We don't have what it takes to fight. But we are asking the United Nations, the European Union, the African Union, to do the needful before the human catastrophe would occur in Nigeria. The late Malafia says there will be civil war in Nigeria. A lot of people know that the North do not want to let the power go. The North literally wants to hold the power. The North does not want Nigeria to break. The North wants to continue to hold on to the military architect by not giving room to any other ethnic groups in Nigeria. The union that was formed under the fraudulent election in 1959 by the British government, by giving power to the North. The question now is Nigeria now on its final lap, just as Soviet Union did in 1991 when it breaks up and then 15 countries came out of it. Latvia is 1.3 million. As a Nigerian, you will need a visa to travel to Latvia. So 5 million Yorubas are more than enough to decide their fate. This is Starr Radio UK. You can also follow us on Twitter on Starr Radio UK. I've asked the question, How many of you have already subscribed to Star Radio UK on Twitter? Let's look at the numbers this evening and see if we can get increase. We will open the phone line, but please do not call yet until we ask you to do so. So if you are not aware that Star Radio UK is on Twitter, I want to see how many people will be going there and then subscribe, and then we'll look at the numbers, and then I'll tell you how many people have done so. How many of you will be signing to Star Radio UK on Twitter so that whenever I'm live on Star Radio UK every Wednesday, you will be able to join me? Star Radio UK, as we have it right now, has 396 followers. How many of you would like to go and do what we can call to follow it right now? So I'm just going to give about 2 minutes and see if the numbers goes up. Let's see. While we are ready for that, I'm just going to give you a short music break, and then when we come back, we will continue with the conversation. And I say once again, good evening and welcome to Star Radio UK. So let's quickly play, this beautiful track, and when we come back, we will review. Let's go there. Star Radio UK is StarRadio UK. I want you now to go there and do follow up, so that is the only way you will know when I'm live every Wednesday for the Niger Voices. So let's go and play this very beautiful track. So many track was made for me for my birthday, but there's one that I love so much, and let's listen to that. Welcome to Niger Voices. Like I said, I'm still checking how many of you are watching right now. We do what we call follow-up on Star Radio UK. It's 397. I want to see if we can get it to 500 this evening. I'm going to be sharing the link so that it makes it very easy for you, so that you can just click on that link. It takes you straight into Star Radio UK, and then you can follow up and then also subscribe to Star Radio UK. Let's listen more to this music. Like I said, we want to get the Star Radio UK Twitter to go to 500 this evening, and I want every one of you that are watching, if you have a Twitter, I want you to go now and click on that and follow it, and that is the only way you can help to get the message out so that we can save lives. Or don't you want us to save lives? Do you want us to continue to sit behind and allow the terrorist agenda to come into Nigeria? So let us go and do that now before we continue with the program. And at about 7 o'clock, I'll be giving you what next more after the 5 million petition. So let's go and do that now quickly before we continue with the program. Those of you that are watching me on my own private account, especially on Olayomi Koike, we're going to be ending that now. We want you to go and join the other platforms on Star Radio UK, where you can continue to watch that continue Niger Voices. So if you're watching me on Olayomi Koike, which is my private account, you can go to either KOIKIMEDIA on Instagram, or you can join Star Radio UK on all the platforms on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. But we are already waiting to see if the number goes up. Thank you so much, and let us join those platforms that I've said. I'm going to be giving more of the headline, but for now, we are still looking at how many people is following Star Radio UK this evening before the end of the program. Once again, thank you so much. The number is gone up to 404. Let's keep pushing it. Like I said, at exactly 1 minute from now, we'll continue back with the program. We must save life because we don't want civil war in Nigeria. If you've just joined us, this is a show that comes every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 8:30. Like I said, we will take calls, but the question tonight is, what next after the 5 million? A lot coming up in this June at exactly 11 days from today. So much mega rally all over the continent. I'll be giving you everything you need to know. Stay tuned more, don't go anywhere. Mrs. Liz Dada says Nigeria is a failed state. I totally agree with her. Do you agree, or what do you say about that? Welcome again, those of you that have joined us on all the platforms. I say good evening as we continue to give you all the latest news. PC, do you think the APC government will allow Tinubu to become their next candidate, or as Buhari says, we want a consensus candidate, or do you think the North will be power again under the APC? I welcome you, Tajuddin Olaniwaju Ibrahim, as you're joining us, and those of you that have joined us. Good evening to you, Mrs. Joyce. Welcome again, and welcome. Do you think that Tinubu will be given the ticket for the APC, as we saw that Wike lost for the PDP? Elaine says, and I quote, that I weep for Nigeria. Ali Waki, good evening to you. Balogun Abiodun, good evening. Shola Abikoye, good evening, and welcome to those of you that have joined us. This is Star Radio UK. We're just transmitting on behalf of it. Good evening to you watching all the way from Iseyin. I hope you won't allow the terrorists to infiltrate Iseyin, as we saw them doing so in Igogun. Any reason to miss. Keep it going. It's not pushing as I want, but we hope before the end of this evening program we would have more numbers that are going to join. Peter Otege says Nigeria is gone. Sadiq Adekunle says well done, brotherly. Olamilekan Sadiq says great job, sir. I say good evening. Otumba Abimbola Daramola, I say good evening to you. You are all watching Star Radio UK. Alaji Idris Muhyiddin Ola Jimmy, good evening to you, and welcome once again to those of you that have joined us. Now let's come to the conversation at 4 minutes past 7 p.m. local time in London. The weather is so bright and beautiful. As you can see, I've been drinking a lot of water to keep it going. The question a lot of Nigerians asking is, watching from Liberia. Thank you so much. You can also tell me where you're watching from. Hashtag Yoruba Exit. The question a lot of Yoruba asking is, if you watch Bigger Than Africa, I'm going to be giving you some summary of it. Bigger Than Africa. I'm going to play something from Bigger Than Africa carefully, because Bigger Than Africa is a documentary that has given us the background of who we are as Yoruba people. I want you to watch it with your family if you can do so. Once again, good evening to my mom as well. I can spot her on the platform. Good evening to you, Tommy Adibola. Welcome to those of you as I continue to welcome you all. Kola Wole Oba Olua Mutairu Aden Motindin Adeyemi. If you haven't pronounced your name very well, please bear with me. Tony Edges, good evening. Taufik Atilola, Yoruba Nation Now, watching from Oduduwa land. Good evening to you, Okay Mighty. Good evening to you on Instagram, on MixLR, on every platform that you're watching. But most importantly, I appreciate everyone that have joined us. Bigger Than Africa is a documentary that has now established, told us who we are as Yoruba people. Bigger Than Africa is one documentary that's coming out at the appropriate time. All hail the Biafra. We remember them as we remember those that have been killed during the genocide of the Civil War that took place in 1967. 5 million Igbo were killed by the Nigerian government. Bigger Than Africa. I'll be playing you the sound clip. And I want us to know that the Yorubas, should we miss it now, the next generation would ask a lot of questions. Let's listen to Bigger Than Africa.
From the west coast of Africa to North and South America, Cuba and the Caribbean, the Yoruba came in mass.
Subject states, an empire that was well organized, well structured, well founded.
We have the song that we are your children, my God, do not throw us away. But for me, it's a very sad song because it reminds me of the pain of my ancestors.
Spirituality is embedded in human beings. Superstructure, what sort of manifests spirituality is what we call religion.
Hundreds of years after their arrival to the New World, their culture might have survived it all.
A cultura do povo Yoruba foi muito importante para a emancipação, para
during the civil rights ages, we were opening Yoruba culture to.
I was a part of many black nationalist movements. They went to Detroit, Michigan, at Aretha Franklin's father's church. Detroit Police Department showed up and just unloaded on the church.
And they started shooting up the church. We had women and children with us. Our soldiers fired back until they had no more ammunition. Meanwhile, the Black Panthers got a hold of what was new to us.
Yoruba culture did not teach turn the other cheek. On the contrary, Yoruba culture celebrates the war, actually execrates their oppression. So in liberation struggle in Latin America.
So Yoruba, that's Professor Wole Soyinka, and he says something that I want us to remember is what is about to play up now. Okay, 15 minutes ago, several adopted and set buses ablaze in Kaduna Highway. That is coming from one of our listeners at DBC Boy. It says 15 minutes ago, several people has been adopted and the bus was set ablaze in Kaduna Highway. The question is, for how long is all this going to continue? For how long must we live in a country with fear of traveling around the country? Again, this is a breaking news. 15 minutes ago, several people have been adopted and the bus has been set ablaze on Kaduna Highway. So this is a breaking news that is just coming out from Nigeria as we speak right now. Once again, this is becoming something that we've got to be concerned about. Let's go back again and ask the question. If the Yoruba was part of those during the liberation of other countries, why is it difficult now for millions of Yoruba people that are still sitting behind a fence to understand that Nigeria is not for us? Why? Why is it still difficult for Nigerians to understand the danger? Terrorists adopt student travelers in Kaduna, burn 8 vehicles. Well, it's been out there for almost 7 hours ago. Terrorists has adopted student travelers in Kaduna. The question is, for how long do we want to live? Thank you so much. We have Pastor Folorunsho is watching us from Ekiti State. Idera Ramota, Good evening to you, our mother. Thank you so much. You're wishing us happy birthday. I'll continue to read some of your comments as I pick on it from all the platforms. Sulaiman Gafal Abiodun, thank you so much. Evangelist Taiwo Ayodeji is watching. Kazim Karim is watching. Lizzie, I know that person is that's my family. Good evening to you and thank you for joining. And happy birthday to Fatia, even though I forgot to call her, which was not a very good one. That's my big younger ones. We wish her happy birthday. And the rest of those that are celebrating. Levinetti is celebrating his birthday. Mrs. Bola is celebrating her birthday today. And the rest of those that are celebrating their birthday in the month of June. Simi P says, hello, Mr. Koike. I say hello as well. My question now that a lot of people are asking us is, what next after the 5 million signatory? We do know that United Nations do not give countries, but you can apply to become a member of United Nations. You have the right, as long as you have all it takes when it comes to the requirement. So you can literally apply to be part of United Nations. We're going to talk about that tonight. Again, I'm asking the question, do you think that the APC will give power or candidate to Tinubu? We saw how everything played out during the PDP convention, how dollars were exchanged and how Atiku won to become the candidate of the PDP and Wike lost because Tambua, another Fulani man, stepped down for another Fulani man. What do you think is going to play out with the APC primaries? What do you think the expectation of the Tinubu, Osibajo, and the rest of the Yorubas and Amechi and the rest of them as against Ahmed Lawan, the current Senate president? Do you think that Buhari, that is now saying that he wants a consensus candidate, what consensus candidate do you think Buhari wants to leave? Thank you so much. Kazim Karim. Otumba Spencer, thank you for watching. Mrs. Fatima Mustafa says, Yoruba Nation now is not looking back. Yoruba Nation now says, all diaspora watching this program should send $5 data to various friends in Nigeria and also send this Koiki link to them to start watching. Wow, very good one. We need as many people to understand the reason why we want to go. But we also need to tell United Nations that we do not want war on our doorsteps. Sanusi is watching us from Liberia. Many calendars to destroy by you. Yoruba Nation will stand no going back. Mr. Ade Ola Ade, good evening to you. Mrs. Liz that I said, enough is enough. Nigeria is a failed state. Break it up now to save lives. Okay, Mikey say, thanks so much for the information about the film Bigger Than Africa. I'm going to give you some of the analyses that I wrote down on Bigger Than Africa. But I want us to first talk about what next after the 5 million petition. What is the expectation of the Yoruba people around the world? Kí ni nǹkan tá expect? Kí làwọn nǹkan tá fẹ́ ṣe? Kí làwọn ìgbésẹ̀ tó yẹ ká gbé? This weekend, we're expecting the central account to be finally unveiled. That is very, very important at this stage because imagine if we have $5 million in that central account, we can literally now have enough to at least defend the land without needing the governors, without needing the politicians, without needing anybody. Let me read this article. United Nations is neither a state nor a government. I want us to listen to that. As many people think that United Nations, United Nations, ni wọ́n máa fún wa ní òmìnira. It doesn't work like that. United Nations kọ́ ló máa fún wa ní òmìnira. We should first do everything needful before we can go to United Nations. Oh yes, we had some powerful mega rally right in front of the was it the 86th or 89th National Assembly of the United Nations last year. We hope by the end of this year, before they have another one, a Yoruba nation will have been declared. Kenny Adelani says, enough is enough. Nigeria is no more alive. Yoruba nation not going back. Ibrahim Olayemi says, please, we don't need referendum and we need a Yoruba nation. Yoruba must go. And that is what we've been explaining. I understand that there's a particular group that is talking about referendum. Nobody was consulted when the British government came to amalgamate Nigeria. We don't have to tell the British that we are leaving. We can do rally. We can present things to them. But we will declare when the appropriate time comes. Because when the British was amalgamating Nigeria, nobody was consulted. Or when you consulted, was your dad consulted? Was your mom consulted? If they were being about of law, we were amalgamating Nigeria. Again, I'm still monitoring whether people are subscribed to Starr Radio UK on Twitter. As we speak right now, only less than, the number is still 407. You have the link already. Go there and follow and come back onto the program, or you can watch it live on Twitter. How do you expect the messages to go around, especially when we're speaking on the radio? Good evening to you, Prince Ifedayo Abdullahi. That is exactly my thought after the petition. Thanks for this program. You're watching it from Lagos. Good evening to you, Mr. Aina Francis. What next is the conversation after the 5 million? And I'm going to break it down as much as I can tonight at 17 minutes past 7. Some of what we should be expecting to take place immediately is the issue of a passport to those 5 million people. Now that we have 5 million data to play with, we can send message to them directly and continue to update them, because the 5 million is a data on its own and a secured one. So literally, I should be expecting in the next a week from now, and remember also, Mrs. Abiola Onitiri has also asked us to also contribute a little bit. And those details is already out. If you need them, please get in touch with us. I welcome you, Comrade Omoshebi Kolawole. Welcome on board. Àwọn ògbésẹ̀ tá a fẹ́ gbé nísìn òun la fẹ́ ṣàlàyé, but bear with us. We are speaking to the international community, so that means I'm going to be speaking more of the English at what next the Yoruba people will be doing. But at exactly almost towards the end of the program, you would have opportunity to call into the show, and you can also ask questions. If we can answer, we will tell you. Once again, my name is Olayomi Koike, and you're watching Starr Radio UK. Good evening to you, Dalio King, Femi Osifade, Taiwo Olajide, Dare Samuel. Good evening. Bidemi Uluyoko. What about the passport? It will come up. I have already submitted 2. I'm expecting to have another one template to Mrs. Chief Abiola Onitiri, and I'm sure she has already received some others as well. So that means we can now communicate directly with 5 million Yoruba people that have signed a petition, and I expect the passport to be issued to them as quickly as possible. We expect a passport to be issued to every single one of the 5 million people that have signed our petition. But before all that information is neither a state nor a government, and therefore does not possess any authority to recognize either a state or a government. Excuse me. United Nations, as an organization of an independent state, it may admit a new state into its membership or accept the credentials of a representative of a new government. So now, our expectation is what next? But United Nations will now receive every part of our credentials. What are the credentials? The credentials are we have submitted the reasons why the Yoruba must now stand on their own as against being part of Nigeria. We must also tell them that we are not encroaching anybody's land. We know where the Yoruba land stands from Lokoja coming down. And that means we are not encroaching on anybody's land. As we speak right now today, as at 2020 rather, we have 193 sovereign. When I say sovereign, sovereign means an independent nation that do not have to be relying on anybody. The United Nations member states are 193 sovereign states. The Yoruba nation will become the 194, which will add it up. That are the members of the United Nations. Members, I want to get member United Nations. They are 193. The Yoruba nation will add to that and it will make it 194. Again, these are just members. United Nations, United Nations do not give countries. You will submit your credential just as you are applying for a visa to any countries around the world. That's if you are given that visa in the first place. For the benefit of those that are the Yorubas, that is why I'm speaking a bit of our language so that they can get the message that need the can submit our credentials for United Nations, call it accept her as a member state. We know that there might be countries that might want to veto that. But those countries will not have the right to veto a country that has the right requirements. And that is why I want everybody to go and watch Bigger Than Africa. It's a documentary that explains who we are as Yoruba people. And you're right, Mr. Abiodun. We give a big raise to the gods. Good evening to you, Mr. Kanawe Abiodun. The question again is, how soon will there be a declaration? How soon will there be the dissolution of Nigeria? And what will be the consequence of that? Should we do so? Once again, a very good evening. I'm going to give us a quick article that I'm about to read as well. The Admission of New State to the International Community by Christina Ilgrobel. The admission of new state into international community. Because we're not going to just be on our own. We are going to be part of an international community. We are going to be part of the countries that you've known around the world, as you can think and you can remember. There are only very few branches of international law which are of greater or more persistent interest and significance for the law of nations than the question of recognition of state. Recognition. That those recognition not accept us. Let us bear that in mind. Countries that will be out to us will be available, but there will be more countries that are ready to work with us because of what we have, which is our human capacity. The reason why the Yorubas are surviving around the world. Once again, this is Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Good evening to you, Austin Igbokwe. Good evening to you, Shegun Abiola. Good evening to you, Adeyemi. Good evening to you, Stephen James, Adeni Kamayowa, and the rest of you. Recognition is very, very important. But don't expect any country that is sucking at the moment the blood of Nigerians or the Yoruba people to accept you. And some of you know those countries. But the most important thing is we need at least 5 countries from the 193 around the world to at least give us a kind of recognition. They don't have to give us weapons. They don't have to give us money. They just have to give us recognition. One has already shown that strong interest, and that is Benin Republic. Because as small as Benin Republic is, they refuse to listen to the bull elephant that wanted to kidnap Chief Sunday Igboho from Benin. So today, should we make a declaration, expect countries not to accept us in, expect chaos that can occur? There will be June 12 mega rally across the globe, and we expect many Yorubas to come out. While the political relevance of the recognition of a new state is beyond all doubt, the rules of law which apply to this aspect of public international law remain uncertain. Don't expect everything to be smooth. You're right, Austin Igbekwe, Nigeria is not a country to live in. And that is the reason why 5 million Yoruba people have now signed a petition to exit. 27 minutes past 7 p.m. Starr Radio UK conversation on Niger Voices every Wednesday with myself. Don't expect that everything will be smooth when it comes to when a declaration would occur. There will be countries that will disagree with us. There will be countries that will agree with us. There will be countries that we have had strong relationship with prior before the British came in and destroy everything of our culture, our heritage, our deities. We have 401 deities. All these were destroyed during the colonial era. We have our women that are into commerce. But as we speak right now, all the women inside the Nigeria of today, especially from the Southwest, are no longer viable to run a successful business. The Yoruba system of government have been in operation, and we can still have that same system, not the corrupt one where your governors, your politicians have sucked millions out of you. We were well known around the world, not just because of anything, but because of the slave trade that took us out of our own indigenous land into different parts, from Cuba to Trinidad and Tobago, where we were used for all kinds of different reasons. We have so many Yorubas in Cuba. We have them all over the world in Brazil. We played a role during the revolution of the Cuba. But today, 5 million people have now said, we are ready to go. June 12, mega rally, Trafalgar Square. Let's arrive as early as possible before the procession starts at 10 o'clock. We are once known as Yoruba before Nigeria, and we're going back there. What next is the conversation? Some Yorubas still believe that we must go into 2023 and then maybe use that to achieve the Yoruba nation. We can declare without anyone asking us how and why. It might become instability to the international community. Remember, we have multi-million-dollar projects, multi-million-dollar companies all operating in Nigeria, and should a declaration come, there will be uncertainty. So you must expect anarchy at some stage. You must expect chaos at some stage. But one thing is, the Yoruba people have spoken on the 5 million petition. These are not robots. These are not robots. These are individuals that are supporting to say that we don't want to be part of Nigeria. In 1966, 50 people hold on the jugular of Nigerians during the coup. Once again, I go back to this article. The new practice of the recognition of recently established state of the Eastern Europe and the former Soviet Union since 1991 is said to have overridden the traditional principle of public international law, regarding recognition. Don't expect everything to be smooth when it comes to recognition of the Yoruba nation from different countries, because each country will have reasons to support, and some countries will have reasons not to support us. So when we talk about Yoruba nation, we want out of Nigeria. Emma expect me gbogbo ló máa fún wa ní support àti recognition, but the most important thing is it has now been like that after the Soviet Union break up in 1991. So there's not one template that we can say, oh, we have to go and we have to do. But the most important thing is we don't have the right to say that we have to do referendum. Don't let anybody fool you, even any of these organizations that are playing that role to say that we need a referendum. Let them continue their own referendum. It is entirely up to them. They are Yorubas, and if they want to do referendum, let them carry all the Yorubas and then go and do it on their own, but not the 5 million people that have signed the petition that expect a declaration and the raise of the flag. Referendum, that is entirely up to them. Let them go and do so. But the 5 million people that have signed the petition is expecting a declaration, but don't expect every part of the globe to support you. Thank you so much, Ashafaruddin Babalola. We're not taking calls here. Please do not call yet. We take the call just at about 1:45. You need to get the understanding. We are now talking about the international level now. We're not talking to you anymore. We are talking to the countries that are established, having their own ambassador, having their businesses, some having their own citizen operating in Nigeria. We are telling them now that things will change because 5 million people have now spoken. We have countries that are not even up to 5 million. So we should not be scared to declare Yoruba nation at any point of time. It can be declared today. You're quite right, Austin Igbekwe. Referendum will be rigged by the same government that have rigged your life into pieces. Once again, a very good evening and welcome to Niger Voices on Star Radio UK. Don't expect countries to give you that loyalty. Since 1991, after the Soviet Union has been overridden, the traditional principles of the public international law regarding recognition is no longer in practice. And that means that when the Yoruba nation is declared, don't expect countries to give us recognition. But what we will do is, we will now tell those countries that they cannot operate as well in Yoruba land until we have cordial relationship with them. It doesn't matter whichever of the countries. You think about them in your own understanding. Recognition. We will not allow them to operate on Yoruba land, regardless of whatever they have. They must pack everything and go. And if they want us as well to leave their own country, we will do so. And that means it's tit for tat. Until there is a relationship between both of us, that is when we're going to open their embassy, and we will open one embassy in their own country as well. That is what is going to come up. And this is how I want us to start thinking now. Not the killings, not the anything. All that is not going to go away until we have our own nation where we can defend and have the security. When the central account is finally unveiled, we must now put in millions of dollars so that we can buy everything security-wise to defend and close the channel of the terrorists that are invading our land. Because presently, the Nigerian government has failed to protect Nigerians and those of Yoruba that are saying they want to go. Do not expect the international community to give us recognition. But any country that do not give us recognition, it doesn't matter how small, how big they are, the Yoruba that are leading this movement must tell them that they must now vacate until there's a relationship with both of these countries. It doesn't matter, even if it's America, UK, France, Canada, Japan, China, it does not matter. We must tell them that they will no longer operate on the Yoruba land. They can operate in the southeast, should they allow them, or the northern part of the country, but no longer in the Yoruba land until there's a cordial relationship and there will be an establishment of what we call the embassy. A declaration will occur A very good evening to you, Mrs. Omolara Iyabo Ajala. Good evening to you, Carly Bank. I'm just giving us what next after these. We might not be able to treat all this tonight, but I'm going to be coming back again, God willing, next week, Wednesday. But we still have about an hour. Again, no country will be allowed to operate, not even a business, in Yoruba land when that declaration occurs. A very good evening to you, my brother. Okay, we've lost the sound on the Instagram. I'm going to end it and bring it back on. Once again, a very good evening and welcome to Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, as we welcome those of you that have joined us from all over the world. We are not interested in election. Election is not the issue. Election cannot solve the problem. Election has failed millions of the Yoruba people, and their lives have become trapped inside the borderline of different continents. And that is why the British government have now also said that should you apply for asylum in this country, you'll be sent to Rwanda. So we don't want to go to Rwanda. That is why we make a declaration. And if the British don't want to have a relationship with us, we will cut off the relationship with them as well. It's as simple as that. We should not be scared of that. In just about a few minutes, I'm going to be opening the phone line. Let's go back again. Indeed, the predominant declarative theory cannot explain in a new practice conveniently. So what used to be the norm, what used to be the normal system, that a declaration or recognition or whatever of a new nation has all changed after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. So no country will now have a veto to tell the Yoruba people how and when we should make a declaration when we want to go out of Nigeria. And when I mean go, we're not going anywhere. We are only going to block what it used to be by Nigeria inside the Yoruba land. And all that might also create a lot of uncertainty, which we might be expecting. And that is why we are telling the United Nations now, the EU, the people that needs to know that currently 5 million Yoruba people have spoken, and they cannot put that inside the basket because we have countries that are not up to 5 million. So they have no single right to decide the fate of those 5 million people. What next is what we are discussing on Starr Radio UK if you have just joined us. The integration of a new state. Integration of a new state. The integration of a new state in the international community does not take place automatically. Don't expect every country to accept us in. Ẹ má rò pé gbogbo ìlú ló máa ní ká wá máa bọ̀, ká wá di ìlú. Àwa la fẹ́ di ìlú, àwọn kọ́. Àwa la fẹ́ nípa fẹ́ di ìlú. Àwa ọmọ Yorùbá la náà fẹ́ di ìlú, and that means we will be the one to do everything that is needful until they give us a recognition. But whatever is going to happen, any country that does not want to recognize us must not also operate on our land. And we have a lot to offer. We have the human capacity to offer. Ẹ̀gbọ́n mi dáadáa, àwa ní nǹkan nílẹ̀ wa. So if Britain doesn't want to operate with us, that's not a problem. But Britain will not also operate from the Yoruba land. It's as simple as that. Until there's a recognition between us and Britain. What an interesting time to be alive. Once again, a very good evening and welcome to Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's go back and quickly read it. Gist Tech, good evening to you. Freedom is near. There's no doubt about that. A declaration will happen. Caribbean radio station in London. The integration. I was saying integration. Àwa la fẹ́ wọnú àwọn ìlú sílùú. A fẹ́ máa bá wọn ṣe relationship. A fẹ́ sọ pé, well, Yoruba nation is here. Can we have embassy in your country? No, we don't recognize you. Okay, thank you so much. No problem. Do you have any other relationship with Nigeria before? Okay, any other thing you have in Yoruba land, can you start packing up in the next 30 days we give you to go? And that's it. Until there's a relationship between us and them. Some might say, what about the Yorubas that have not accepted a total breakaway from Nigeria? It's a good question to ask. Those that have not agreed for the breakup, those that still want election, you might say they have a right as well. You might say they have the right to determine whether they want to be Yoruba or not. And the question I'm going to ask them is, what has been the favor of being part of Nigeria for them? What has Nigeria literally done to make life better for them? Where, as we speak today, 7 hours ago, people were kidnapped. As we speak today, we have evidence based that there will be civil war based on what the late Dr. Malafia said. What has been the gain of those Yorubas that are still saying that they want to be part of Nigeria? What has been their gain? They can ask themselves those questions. We might not say that they should go and live in the north. They are Yorubas, but we are asking them, what has been the benefit in a country that was put together in the first place by the British government in 1914? Because we are not Yorubas. We are not Nigerians. We were Yoruba kingdom. We were a kingdom until the British came and destroyed everything. And that is why we are advising everybody, should you have the opportunity to go and watch Bigger Than Africa. It's a very powerful documentary. It's not even up to 1 hour, 30 minutes. Thank you so much, Mr. Shola Johnson. So let me quickly finish this particular chapter, and then we're going to open the phone line. The integration of the new state in the international community does not take place automatically, but through cooperation, that is by individual and collective recognition on the part of the already existing state. By the procedure of recognition, these states exercise their prerogative to determine in advance whether the newcomer. So the reason why we are approaching countries now, countries have been approached as we speak right now. Countries have been approached. We are Yorubas. They are telling them the reason why. Some are looking into it, some are not trying to touch it. There's no problem. The integration of a new state in the international community does not take place automatically, but through what we call cooptation. That is by the individual. Chief Mrs. Onitiri is taking the message to different places. Professor Banja Kitoe is doing the same thing. We are doing the same thing by continuing to talk about it. And that is why June 12 in Sacramento, in California, there will be a mega rally. June 9 in America, Washington, D.C., there will be a mega rally. June 18 in Canada, there will be a mega rally. June 12 in France, there will be a mega rally. All these is also telling countries in advance about the coming of a nation like the Yoruba nation. Because the British government, as an example, will not say that they are not aware that there's a protest going on in this country for people to have their own independent nation, including the Biafrans. They might not respond, they might not respect it, but when the right time comes for declaration, that means there is no longer any other option for countries like Britain and other countries to either accept or there will not be union among us until there's a kind of a mutual agreement where we would have an embassy here and then they would then have an embassy right established in Yoruba land. They might have one in the north. That will not be a problem. By the procedure of recognition, this state exercised their own prerogative to determine in advance. Some can tell us that we will give you all the support when the time comes. And some might say, we will not give you support. We'll see how things plays out. But when things plays out this way, we will support you. When it goes this way, we might not support you. It's all optional. We don't have to force any country to support us. Whether the newcomer in their judgment is able and willingly to carry out all its obligations as a subject of international law. And that is why we have been doing everything according to the law. We might say that we can defend ourselves, but we have not done anything atrocity committed while this campaign has been going on. It has been very peaceful until even the federal government sent in machinery to kill Chief Sunday Igboho in the house. 2 individual people were killed. You are still listening to Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Thank you so much, Solomon Festus. And good evening to you, Benga Bamidele, and the rest of you that have joined us on all over the continent. Ghanaian lady said, deep down, the Yoruba people want the Nigerian out, and their self-determination should be respected. And that is what Chief Mrs. Onitiri have said continuously. They must respect our right. Just as Latvia, 1.3 million, have been respected to have a country of their own. And we can think of as many smaller countries. But the reason why I'm using Latvia is because I know that Nigerians will not be able to travel to Latvia without applying for a visa. Thank you so much, Mr. Tunji James. British prefer to send relief package than making peace. We don't need those relief package. We want to be independent, sovereign nation of our own. Let's finish this quickly because time is running out and I need to take calls as well. Where are we? I'm going to take it back. By the procedure of the recognition, this state exercise their prerogative to determine in advance whether the newcomer, like Yoruba nation, in their judgment is able and willing to carry out all its obligations as a subject of international law, whether it will be a reliable member of the international community. Therefore, the ability and the willingness of the new state to respect international law constitute the central criteria of a statehood in terms of international law. In terms of Injali respect to Agbaye, can recognize her, and I'm sure we can do so. Thank you so much, Austin Ibekwe. They are decisive for the conferment of the legal capacity. This particular document I'm going to share with you, and I want you to take time to go and study it. I'm going to be reviewing it more during our other programs as well. And this gives you the back end understanding of what next. So the what next should not be something we should be scared of. It's all about, can we as the Yoruba people, Yoruba nation, walk with the international law? And I think we can do so compared to the fraudulent country known as Nigeria today. Because Nigeria has not respected international law as we speak right now. It was kidnapped and rendition back to Nigeria. That means Nigerian government did not respect international law. If we have our own nation, if anybody has to be taken out of Nigeria or we need to go and pick somebody, we're not going to kidnap them. That is the link for the benefit of those of you that are watching us. Should you want to go and study it more, it's already on the YouTube, and we'll try and put it out on all the other platforms as well. And I'm doing that right now as well on the Starr Radio UK. Once again, a very good evening and welcome for those of you that have joined us. Now let's take calls for the next 40 minutes of this program. The Yoruba people have spoken, and they've spoken loud that they want their own nation away from Nigeria. I've asked the question, do you think Tinubu will be given the ticket for the APC? As we speak right now, so many people have been adopted by the terrorists traveling on the Kaduna. 8 vehicles were burnt down. The Yoruba people will respect the international law. There's no doubt about that. But we do know that the Nigerian government has not respected the international law. The number that you're going to be calling tonight will be unveiled in just about a few minutes, and the back end team will be putting those numbers out. Those of you that knows the number prior to now can call in. Iceland is just 320,000 and they're a country. So there's no reason why we should be scared for declaration. Thank you so much, Ario Olamide. Thank you so much, Jamio Adeni. Thank you so much, Mr. Mike Taiwo. Election is another self-enslavement. Good evening to you, Mrs. Roslyn Omilano Coca, and the rest of you that have joined us. Mike Taiwo, once again, I say thank you so much. Now, let us take calls quickly, just for the next 30 minutes, because this program's end at exactly 8:30. The number to call into the program tonight for you to also add your own voice, and that number is +44 74 04 405917. Those of you on Instagram, I hope you can still hear me, because there was a call that came through on that line and sometimes the volume could go. Can you let me know if you can still hear me, those of you that are watching us on the Instagram? So now let's take calls so that we can wrap it up at exactly 8:30. Once again, a very good evening and welcome to Niger Voices on Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, where we continue to educate and tell those at home anything and everything. Okay, I believe calls are going to be coming in now. You can call on WhatsApp or you can call directly, but let's go and take the first caller. And I say good evening. Hello, caller.
Good evening, sir. Mr. Olayomi Koiki.
You're welcome to the program. Welcome to Niger Voices on Starr Radio.
Yes, I'm speaking from Lagos State.
Go ahead. You're live with us.
Yeah, Mr. Koiki, what do you tell me? Ṣé kò ní sí rally kankan ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ń bíbá yìí ni according to June 12 rally. Ìwà àti ìgbó anything pa àwọn tí ìsọ̀rọ̀ kankan pa ti bíbá àwọn gbọ́ London kankan káàkiri àmọ́ ẹ̀ ti bíbá rárá.
I saw for you when the time gets closer. I'm aware we won't rally, but I will tell you when the time gets closer. All right. Hello, check back what you saw.
All right, sir.
No, check back what you saw. Check back what you saw. Yeah, so we will definitely, yeah. So when the time gets closer, we will tell you. But I'm aware that there are some people putting a rally together, but I will let you know. Yeah. All right then. Thank you so much. Once again, a very good evening and welcome to those of you that have joined us. There will be no referendum in Yoruba land because all we want is a full out, nothing like referendum. +44 74 04 40 5917 would bring you into the studio where we can take your call and then we can continue. There's quite a lot. Okay, there's another one, and the one Nigeria, it wouldn't work. Yoruba Nation, I think Bandit released the NYSC. So many people being kidnapped, raped, and then the question is, should we continue like this? We can't continue like this. These young Nigerian, as you can see here, was released by the terrorists. She's an NYA COP member in Kaduna after 2 million naira ransom was paid and 100,000 recharge card despite the name registration. The question is, who is the next person to be kidnapped? Who is the next person to fall into the trap of the country known as Nigeria? You can add your own voice, but at exactly 8:30, I will be winding the program down. And I say thank you once again to those of you that have sent your messages. It's still coming through. I'm still receiving greetings. Thank you so much, Mrs. Funke Olaoshibikon, for joining, Mr. Yemi Simon, and the rest of you that continue to follow the program. And also, as we are asking the question, what next after these 5 million petition? What next is the conversation, and we're deliberating on that. We're talking on that, and we're giving you everything you need to know when it comes to what next. What next is a declaration must happen as quickly as possible. But the most important thing, like I said, don't expect every part of different part of the globe to give us a recognition. Some of them will not, some of them will, but it's an optional for them to, and it's also an optional for them not to. But we can still go ahead with our own declaration because we have the 5 million people, and those 5 million people we expect at least must now be used as the database to communicate with. We can send them messages, we can send them information, because we already also have their numbers, and likewise we expect that at least those 5 million can easily be given opportunity to apply for a Yoruba Nation passport. We have a new caller from America or Canada. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Niger Voices on Star Radio UK.
Yeah. This is Jamie calling from US.
Yeah, Ekale Soreto.
Yeah. The question of ticket. It's no. They cannot give Tinubu because they give Tinubu is going to lose because already PDP candidate is Northerner. Okay. And the Northerner are not ready to give the power out. Okay. So for APC to win, Tinubu should just zero himself out of the game.
Okay. So you're saying that because the PDP has zoned out to the north by giving Atiku the ticket, if Tinubu even get the ticket, his chances are very, very slim. Is that what you're saying?
Slim.
Okay.
Yes, very slim. Okay. Tinubu cannot go nowhere.
Okay, all right. We will then see if that's what the opinion of the others as well. Thank you so much for joining us on Star Radio UK. Ashigoni, thank you so much. Let's go and take more calls because of our time this evening. We only have just under 30 minutes left before the end of this program. This program comes on air every Wednesday between 6 and 8 p.m. where we discuss everything about Nigeria, the issues in Nigeria, and the issues that are boiling Nigerians. And the question again is Tinubu going to be given the ticket? Or is he going to also be somebody like what they've done to the late Chief MK Abiola, that he was allowed to contest, but he never got into that position? Then what next? For those of you that have been asking us, after the 5 million, what next? Some of what next is there should be a declaration that comes up, and also all other gray area, which I've explained in that article. That article, I'm going to be giving you more brief on it as well. It's in real details, put together since the, and let me quickly, while we're still waiting for calls, I still have a bit of ample time to review this, article. The significance of recognition in the international law and the contemporary practice of non-recognition. Like I said, we should expect some countries to recognize us. Some countries will not recognize us, and it could be those powerful countries for reason known to them. But one thing is, when the right time comes, we must stand our ground without giving room to anyone when that time comes. We probably don't have much to lose, but they have much to lose because they're already sucking a lot out of Nigeria. Everybody knows. Good evening to you, Mr. Akonjola Nwaji, for joining us. Salahuddin Rashid, and the rest of you that are watching us from every part of Nigeria this evening. The significance of recognition. Kini importanti recognition. It is important that we get recognized. It gets us going quickly as a country. We can easily then start having cordial relationship. But because the way Nigeria has been structured, we know that some countries do not want the country to break. You know that, and I know that. Recognition of a new state is an act that confers a status. That means if countries that recognize us, we can go to their country based on relationship that we have, just as European people travel around the globe based on the relationship that their country have set up with other part of the globe. Do you know that the reason why people travel to different countries is because the countries have relationship? The reason why you are not given a visa to go to Latvia is because we don't have a relationship with Latvia. And as a country like Nigeria, you will have expected that they should have used their power might to tell Latvia a 1.3 million as against a 200 million that my citizen would like to come to your country for holiday, for business, for as many things as you can think of. Thank you so much, Mr. Fasoki Benga, Mr. Ladi Akimbolaji, thank you so much. Ajani Ajala, good evening, welcome. Tomorrow, we're going back again to the court in Oshogbo for the validity of the fake 1999 military decree. So what is presently on the table in Towa is about, do we get recognition or we don't get recognition? If we don't get recognition does not mean that we will not continue to forge ahead. Recognition of a state, recognition of a new state like the Yoruba nation is an act that confers a status. As a result of recognition, the recognized entity acquires what they call the legal status of a state under international law. In this sense, a new state is not born but chosen as the subject of international law. Only when the new state has been recognized does it become a subject of international law. So let me explain what that means. If we declare Yoruba nation, countries will not recognize us. International law will probably not recognize us, and that means we will just continue to flow on our own. We will not be able to do as much as we want to do, which is what we should remember. We will not be able to have cordial relationship with them, but that will not give us a reason not to believe in ourselves. And that's something we got to remember. We have a new caller on the line. Hello, good evening and welcome to Starr Radio UK Niger Voices at 3 minutes past 8 p.m.
How are you, sir? I just sent you a video.
Okay then, all right. I'll have a look at it. Thank you so much. And I believe that video is what Dino Malai said. I'm sure some of you have seen it. I've not actually listened to it. I'm not sure what is inside, but maybe we should just do so now. Because a lot of people have been sending me the video, but I've been so busy. If we declare today and don't have any money to fund security for when the Boko Haram, and that is the reason why the central account is very, very powerful at this stage. Thank you so much, Freedom Force. It's been a while that I've seen you. Welcome onto the program. So when that national fund account comes out, we expect millions of dollars to go into it so that it can be useful for the purpose of the establishment and the station and the nation of our own. I think we have a new caller that is coming up again. Let's go straight quickly. Like I said, we only have 26 minutes before the end of the program. Hello, good evening and welcome to Niger Voices on Starr Radio UK. Welcome on.
Yeah, good evening. A nice show. So, we can contribute then.
Go ahead, please. Okay, we'll wait for that to come back. The legal effect of recognition, like I said, I'll be treating these documents, stage by stage. Yes, go ahead. We can still hear you. Go ahead.
Only Buratai, we one other shows just this morning. Only Buratai love visit in Oloye Sunday Boni resident in only Benin Republic. So, but we confirm we are information were correct.
Well, not to my knowledge. I don't know anything about that. So, but I can confirm that not whatever have come out of my mouth and what I've not said is the only thing I want you to take on note of. So I don't know what show you've watched, but like I said, I don't know what program you watched. Well, like I said, as a spokesman, as a spokesman for Igbo, I have not come out to tell you that. So that is not something I'm going to say has occurred.
Okay, so no problem about it. We're going to talk about nípa 5 million votes at referendum tí àwọn northerners to introduce fraudulent again. I go to allow one because 5 million ó carry phone number because that's one complete identity right there. So that means anybody like pay missing phone money yes more aware more acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So I need then the earlier the better ASAP. Kabale declare Yoruba nation right now. Kabale Mogotave next is Rebuni. What to go documentary on South Sudan she it to all break out, all carve out to rebel forces. Don't protect the process identity of the back in So I want to know I want to that same step. No, big message. No. Ní ká máa bẹ̀rù pé pé àfẹ́ lo ológun. Tá bá gba 5 million, ta ló máa provide defend the 5 million. Ọmọ ológun ti tiwa táwa fund ni ó máa ṣe. Àwọn Amẹ́ríkà send the 40 million padà lọ sí kìíní. Fi ṣe bòkẹ́lẹ̀ o.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you so much because of the time. Yeah. Go ahead quickly because of the time constraint. We gotta go quickly.
It's a stereotype name. Put there be name calling. Bó ṣe jẹ́ nìyẹn bí Flora Church rí wa ni ó pè ní Nàìjíríà tó dẹ̀ mọ̀ fúnra rẹ̀ pé à ń ṣe Nàìjíríà stereotyping ló ń pè é ṣẹ́gun so that táwọn èèyàn kọ́ máa ronú.
Thank you so much. Sorry about that because of the time constraint, and you got to remember that this is a live radio station. That means we are really, really pressed with time, and we can't just allow the conversation to go ahead. Let me clarify. I can read somebody says, but I posted that link. There's a lot of information that is posted on KOIKIMEDIA. Probably we do not have all the details of the content of what people say or what they don't say. As a spokesman for Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho, I have not come out to say what has occurred or what has not occurred with Buratai, but what I can tell you is while Chief Sunday Igboho was being held in the capacity of Benin Republic, not the present one that he is free right now, Buratai paid a visit to him in the prison, not his residence. Again, I repeat, in the prison 3 times. So whatever you have listened to, maybe the presenter must have mixed it up. I haven't listened to it, and I cannot contain what is inside. Whatever we share on our timeline, we don't know all the full details of what happened on it. Again, as a spokesman for Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho, Buratai has not visited him at his residence. So let's continue quickly, and then we continue with the program at 9 minutes past. I'm going to take another call quickly so that we can continue with the program. Hello, good evening, caller, and welcome to Starr Radio UK.
Good evening.
Hey, go ahead. We can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. Hello, Mr.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. Come to reality.
I repeat because some about
Nigerian nation, come to reality.
Nigerian nation, okay. Abi Yoruba nation, let me so.
I'm sorry, Yoruba nation.
Okay, but if it come into reality.
Yeah.
Well, the reality is already been the process, which I've been explaining, and the process is, apart from even the 5 million person, the Nigerian as it is a fraudulent geographical location, and that means the indigenous people have every right under the United Nations to declare, to exit out of that geographical location known as Nigeria. So that process, it has been occurring, not in the last 2 years, it has been going on ever since the union of the fake amalgamation, where the British protectorate locked us into what we are known as Nigeria. Nigeria. So what we are about to do now is to unbundle what has been done on the indigenous people. Talk about on indigenous people, our Yoruba, Igbo, àti Hausa, àti àwọn ẹ̀yà míì. So what is going on now is the process. That process is about the communication, the conversation, the awareness. But the most important part that I've now locked it in is the 5 million petition that I've now said that the Yoruba people are ready to go. And more opening explanation here.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you so much. And then as we continue, like I said, because we're running out of time, I'm still going to play this video that has been sent to me. Dino Malaye, we know him very well. He's one time senator. He lost the senatorial ticket. But let's hear what he has to say. And I'm sure it might be something that maybe we should listen to.
Fellow countrymen and women, I'm here to address you once again because of our nation's history. Yesterday, the president made a statement that is sacrilegious, unconstitutional, dictatorial, and shows some very inhuman tendencies. The president said the governors of APC supporting to choose a successor. The president deliberately used the word successor and not flag bearer or candidate of the APC. That statement have some negative imports, and the negative concomitant effect is that the president wants to impose a president on Nigerians. We are in a democracy. We will not allow imposition. We will not allow the president to handle this country as if we are under a monarchical or hereditary system of government. It is sacrilegious. It is abominable. It is undemocratic for the president to talk about a successor in an election that have not been conducted. If he says they should support him to get a flag bearer, it's a different matter. So I'm calling the attention of Nigerians to be at alert, because the battle to salvage this country from these economic accounts and financial scavengers is a battle of no retreat, no surrender. And I want to address Mr. President. We are ready more than ever before to defend this democracy even with our blood. We will not allow imposition. We will not allow rigging. We will not allow any tendency that is anti-democratic. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
I'm not sure that God is going to bless it, because as it is now, God has been used to deceive millions of Nigerians. When you hear the word God, that last conversation, there's nothing called democracy in the first place. It's kabak crazy, as my brother just said there. I mean, it's good that we listen to the perspective. I said that already, that the current president does not want the due process to take place. But again, that is for those that still believe in one Nigeria, a due process. I mean, we've said it before, and that's the reason why you cannot, at this stage, allow any Yoruba, any organization, individuals to give you the impression that if we go for a referendum, we will win outright. Because already you can see the system that has been created where, it has become as a corrupt system, and there's no way the outcome will favor anyone. At just 14 minutes past, we will be saying thank you so much again to those of you that have joined us so far on Niger Voices. Let me go back to this document. Maybe we can still treat it for another 10 minutes before I hand over back to the studio. The significance of recognition in international law and the contemporary practice of the non-recognition. So, Agbodo Ronusi Mejeji, she recognize wa, she want to recognize wa, recognize wa, we must speak to all the 193 countries around the globe. We must communicate with them. By now, we should have a representative, like a foreign affairs minister, right now on a temporary ground to start traveling to different countries, engaging countries around the world. Should be able to travel within the next 3 months from country to country, back to back, from one continent to one continent, telling them the reason why the Yoruba people will be better off with them as Nigeria that they have at the moment. These are the kind of expectation, and all these would that mean that we are building a relationship recognition under the international law. Recognition of a new state is an act that confers the status as a result of recognition. The recognized entity acquires the legal status of a state under the international law. In this sense, a new state is not born but chosen as a subject of international law. Only when the state has been recognized does it become a subject of international law. Only but recognized like the subject, like the ìlú, we're gonna do business with you. We can have your citizen come to our country to study, to live, to do whatever, and then they can go back. And this initially only with respect to the existing state recognizing it. On admission as a member of the United Nations, the new state then becomes part of the global organized community of the state by way of cooptation. So if United Nations accept us into the body of United Nations, which they have to, which they must do, because already we have all the prerequisite, the other countries around the world might not recognize us, but it's going to be an advantage should the United Nations recognize us. United Nations do not give countries. United Nations do not say, hello, set up Ulu and then we go and set it up. No, we are the one that will go to United Nations and present our facts and figures to them, which I believe and I think and I know that that process is already ongoing as we speak right now. Also, after the decision has been taken to admit a state to the United Nations, it is the statehood cannot be called into the question with the effect of contesting the validity of the mutual right and obligation arising from the COP membership. Remember that when we become a member in United Nations, all countries around the world will not have any other reasons than to also work with us, whether they like it or not, directly or indirectly. After the decision has been taken to admit a state to the United Nations, its statehood cannot be called into question with the effect of contesting the validity of mutual right and obligation arising from the co-membership. This is true even if the decision to admit the Yoruba nation, as an example, which is the nation that we're talking about, constitute under the substantive law a contravention of the provision of intervention enriched in Article 2 and 7 of the United Nations chapter to the disadvantage of the member state. The European practice of the recognized new state in the Eastern Europe and in the former Soviet Union in 1991 and 1992, which was based on the guidelines adopted by the by the EC member state on 16th of December 1991. Remember that prior to dissolution of the Soviet Union, there were a lot of things that is going on, just as things are going on now. And the moment Nigeria breaks up completely, there will be a lot of different things that will change, resolution, laws, and all that will be taken in place, so that when another country wants to break up, they will have to use our own as a case study. Again, let's go back. Which was based on the guideline adopted by the EC member state on 16th of December, just 10 days before the Soviet Union breakup. It's very informative as to the legal effect of recognition. The list of criteria lay down the conditions that are to be fulfilled. Once again, this is Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, as we continue to also monitor whether people have been following us on Twitter as I requested earlier. So let me see how many people have joined us on Twitter so far. Again, the number has not been very good, but I hope more people will go on Starr Radio. You can follow us so that you cannot miss when I'm live, because this is very, very important, where we educate you, where we give you what you need to know in terms of the nation that a lot of you want to be part of. So you have to also follow Starr Radio UK so that you can enjoy it every Wednesday. Once again, we will continue to enlighten and educate people. But the question is, what next should Tinubu not get the ticket of the APC? So let's come back quickly, as I'm going to be handing over back to the studio in just about 5 minutes from now. It's now coming up to 20 minutes past 8. The weather, I can see the sun is just setting right here. Thank you so much, Mr. Diwali and Mr. Lawal, and the rest of you that have joined us, Lawal, Ademola, and the rest of you that are watching us. Olani says the national account is very important. That is coming up on the 4th, which I believe is this weekend. Waris Junodo says Russia a better chance to recognize to Yoruba nation. As we continue to monitor some of your comment that is coming through on all the platforms. Once again, follow Starr Radio UK. So many people were killed. Kaduna, as we have it right now, we also know that in the last 7 hours, people have been kidnapped and taken away. And, those that have been rescued or paid ransom, not rescued, because nobody get rescued. Everybody pays ransom to get out of that contraction when they get kidnapped. So, like I said, we're going to be treating these because it is very, very important. What next is the question after the 5 million petition. So let me come back again quickly and then finish this up. The European practice of recognizing new states in the Eastern Europe and in the former Soviet Union, okay, I've read that already, is very, very informative to the legal effect of recognition. The list of criteria, lay down the conditions that are to be fulfilled before the community was prepared to recognize the new state. So we must start telling countries that the Yoruba people are ready, and they must start preparing for us, whether they like it or not. Very, very interesting time to be alive. to witness a new nation that is about to be built in 21st century. Again, the list of criteria laid down the conditions that are to be fulfilled before the community was prepared to recognize the new state, and thus they had to be fulfilled before the community was prepared to recognize the new state, and thus to agree to the admission to the community of state and to the international community. The commitment to these principles opens the way to recognition by the community and its member state and to the establishment of what we know as diplomatic relationship. We want diplomatic relationship among people that we're going to be, working with, and all that will only happen if we start engaging them now. And that is why, we believe that we must have at least, even if it's a temporary person or 3 or 5, foreign affairs somebody, men and women, to start traveling from one part of the globe to the other and engaging countries about the Yoruba nation that is about to be built. The commitment to this principle opens the way to recognition by the community and its member state and to establishment of diplomatic relationship. Again, let me quickly finish this up, and then I'm going to play my last track on music, and then we will continue. Once again, it is Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, as we continue, to discuss the issues and how and what happened next. What happened next is very, very important, and a lot of Yoruba people wants to know what happened next. And what happened next, we're already discussing as we speak right now. Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. So next week, I'm going to come back on this article and discuss more on the issues and the latest update. In the literature, it has been claimed that the conditions listed in the guidelines are merely the criteria for the establishment of diplomatic relations, something which is in the political discretion of the state in any case, and not the requirement for the statehood in the sense of international law. This opinion is not convincing for several reasons. So when the Yoruba nation eventually declared, there will be a lot of changes around the world. We must expect that. There will be a lot of movement. There will be a lot of things that has never happened in the last 60 years or in the last how many years of the establishment of what we can call bear with me, the formation of the United Nations. So a lot of things will change. We must expect that. A lot of things will happen. We must expect that. There's no reason for us to be scared. There's no reason for us to be concerned. There's no reason for us to be worried. The most important thing for us is to make sure that when the time comes, everybody is briefed. And what can we do? We continue the awareness, sign the petition, and so that as many people known about what is going to happen, very, very soon. And all these won't happen if we are not doing what we should be doing. And what are we doing? We continue to tell people to sign the petition, to engage more awareness and prepare just in case, because already there's indication out there of the invasion of the Yoruba land. And we don't want to get caught up, into this mess that we are already in at the moment. So let us become more watchful. Let us become more understanding that the danger that we are in is not going anywhere yet until everybody speaks out. So my name is Olayomi Koiki. I'm going to be winding it down on this evening, but be rest assured that I will be back again same time next week on Naija Voices, where we continue to tell you reasons known to us why the Yoruba people should now stand on their own and have a nation of their own. So make sure you join me again next week. I'd like to appreciate everyone that is watching us all over the globe and say thank you so much for being part of us today, the 1st of June, 2022 at exactly 4 minutes before 8:30 p.m. I'd like to appreciate my producer, Frank and Archie, and the rest of the team that have been working tirelessly. And on that note, we're going to play the last final track that we have for you. And then I will be back again same time next week. Let us become much more vigilant, especially that the Lagos state government is saying that those Okada rider in Lagos will no longer be allowed to ride their Okada. We don't want fire in Lagos, but it is time that those in Lagos must also become very, very vigilant so that things just does not come to them when they are not expecting it. Once again, my name is Ola Yomikoike. I'd like again to say, stay tuned with us next week, and you can also join me tomorrow at exactly 11 a.m. when I'm back with Starr Radio UK, the morning show. This is my final track before I hand it over back to the studio. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Adeoye Benga, and also to each and every one of you that have been following us on our platform. Ramata Adeyemi, Mrs. Idera, thank you so much. Once again, thank you so much, Babatunde Surulere. Thank you so much, Arishikola Oyekon, Ajibola Oyedele, and the rest of you that have stayed tuned with us. Just the reason, 5 million signatory to any petition in this world is highly remarkable and the achievement. Bravo to us all. The studio will be taken over in the next few seconds, but for me, I say good evening and welcome. As I say, join me tomorrow at 11 on the Starr Radio UK Morning Show. Starr Radio UK is 24 hours. Make sure you stay tuned to the next thing that is going to be coming very soon. Once again, thank you so much, Prince Oluwafemi. Prince is not a pet name. It's got to do with royal lineage. I'd like to say thank you once again to every single one of you that have joined us, and I appreciate you all. In the next 1 minute, I'm just coming up on the studio. I'll join you in the next 1 minute. Once again, as we hand over back to the studio, I would like to say thank you so much to everyone that have joined, and I have to go now. I say bye from this end. Once again, thank you so much. And from this end, I say bye for now. I've got to go now. A lot of other things to take care of. And I'll be back again. I need to join them on the prayer. I've just been called, and that means I'm being needed. On that note, bye from this end. Thank you so much, everyone.